It's interesting. The conversations I've been having with CROs is this, you brought it up, right? They can research you, you can research them on AI. So everybody has a lot more information from each side. Living in the world today that we have, where products are less differentiated, technology is less differentiated. I mean, ChatGPT, Gemini, they're all writing code. Product differentiation isn't what it used to be. And so I asked him, I said, how do you train your sales team? What's the competitive advantage? And he answered exactly what you did, which is if I go in there and I prove that I know more about their business, then I have a leg up. The key question is, how do you get that information? Because everybody can go to their LLM of choice and get the same information. You and I talked before about the art of knowing more about the customer. And I'm in the middle of a podcast series on the revenue logic of customer obsession. Forrester, a couple of years ago, it's amazing. They did a whole customer obsession study and they found that only less than 3 to 5% of companies are truly customer obsessed. And to do what you're talking about and have that entrepreneurial mindset and that curiosity, that the underlying factor is you're obsessed about the customer. You're obsessed about learning about them and helping them. But that's obviously hard when only 3 to 5% of companies are, let alone then now training entire sales force to be that way and not just go to the LLM of choice and learn like everybody else learns. Everybody can do that. How do you combat that? How do you know and understand deeper than the competitor?
When you and me were young, there were two sources of researching, secondary and primary. In today's world, it's mostly secondary search on your computer, either through search engines or through AI these days. And secondary research and the velocity or pace of assimilating that knowledge that you gather from your research and throwing it out as intelligence is killing sales creativity. I'm using the word sales creativity with a lot of impetus. Creativity is something that is not associated with sales normally. A marketing guy can be creative, or somebody else can be creative. Sales guy, I like bang, 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 hello, make the call, keep the phone down, go to the next one. Creativity results in customer obsession. Obsession and creativity go hand in hand, right? Now, the way we do things today in my organization, and we are extremely customer vocal. We speak the language of the customers because we get deep into their vehicles, understand their vehicles the way they are understanding, and that is the DNA of my company. We encourage the sales guys to use these levers of secondary research by giving them access to Claude, and our Claude is connected to the central hardware. We have the governance security in place. The learning curve of learning what my product is and how does that impact my customer's business is not 15 degrees or 30 degrees because of AI and the tools that I mentioned is 45 degrees. Or the more intelligent creative one, it's 60 degrees. But how do you leverage that secondary research by adding primary research? And that is where going the extra mile comes in. Now, what does primary research mean? Have you spoken with anybody in that business who's not your prospect? Have you spoken with anybody who's a supplier, prospect, distributor, customer of that business to learn more about that business? Which is, have you had airtime talking to at least 4 or 5 people about a prospect before you pick up the phone and call the guy or write an email to him? Now, in the world of sales, that is not doable because the guy has to make 50 calls every day. So you got to stagger it, right? There is the 45 prospects that I have to call today, which are my run of the mill, but here are the five that I'm really passionate about. I know that will give me the 80-20 sales pipeline coverage that I'm looking at. Now, those five become my Bible. I will engage with them the way I just described. I need to have 50% secondary research, 50% primary research. I sit with my reps and I sometimes tell them, apply for a job in that company. In an interview, even if the recruiter calls, you ask them 5, 6 pertinent questions, you have a perspective. Who are their distributors? Who are their customers? Figure out a creative way to go out there, out of your room, out of your computer, and talk to people to learn about their business. Whether it is reputable, non-reputable, making money, not making money, innovative, not innovative, evangelists of technology, not evangelists of technology. That rounded perspective leads into creative outpouring of a messaging that will ensure that the customer sees and perceives you as somebody who is obsessed about that business. It takes some doing because a sales guy also have to understand, Steve, find me a young kid who does an engineering degree or a master's degree and wants to be a sales guy. Everybody wants to be a finance guy or a marketing guy or an HR guy or an analyst or an investment banker. Sales is not the default career that a person has in mind when they pass out of college. So most of those people who get rejected from other spheres, they come into the space. But there are very few hunters who want to do sales. And the moment you land up into some people like that, and I proudly tell that I'm one of those guys who chose sales as a career because I knew the most important skill set I have is the ability to engage, understand people, ask questions, be patient, and that will take me far. And then these creative aspects of doing things out of the box, just to ensure that your knowledge building about an attack before you make the attack is resoundingly creative. And creativity then percolates into obsession, like I said.